There was a time in my life where all I wanted to do when I grew up was become a famous musician. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. But the older I got, the more I realized that takes a lot of work. Like a lot of work. A lot of practicing, a lot of gigs, a lot of playing in front of just a couple people and rising slow to the top, all this stuff. And I found out that I think I like the idea of being famous more than I actually wanted to be famous. Sometimes I'm afraid that that's us with our faith too. Sometimes I feel like I like the idea of following Jesus more than I actually want to follow Jesus. And especially right now when, life kind of was put on hold and everybody was at home all the time and we didn't have church and we didn't have school and we weren't around our friends a lot. It was really easy to kind of fall away, and for some of you, maybe it was really easy for you to just kind of put the whole Jesus thing to the back of your mind. And I wanted to encourage you today because I don't think that's what following Jesus is about, right? The grace of salvation, that is free for you, but it actually costs a lot to follow Jesus. Your life isn't your own anymore. Sometimes you have to do stuff not because you want to, but because God is telling you to. Sometimes you have to move to places that you don't want to move because God is telling you to. Sometimes you have to talk to people that you don't want to talk to because God is telling you to. And it costs a lot. It costs reputation. It costs being popular. It costs money. Your money isn't yours anymore. Your time isn't yours anymore. It costs something to follow Jesus. But some people don't realize that, or some people do realize that, and they think, I would rather just, go to church on Sundays and try to be a good person. Well, that's the idea. But what it actually takes to follow Jesus is what I just told you. All the sacrifices. But man, is it worth it. I wanted to encourage you guys with this verse in Philippians today. It says this, Philippians chapter 2. My dear friends, you always obeyed what you were taught, just as you obeyed when I was with you. It is even more important for you now to obey, now that I'm not there. So you must continue to live in a way that gives meaning to your salvation. Do this with fear and respect for God. Yes, it is God who is working in you. He helps you want to do what pleases Him, and He gives you the power to do it. So what we just read there's two things that popped out to me. The first one is this, that part where Paul says, live in a way that gives meaning to your salvation. Liking the idea of following Jesus and just trying to be a good person and going to church every once in a while, that doesn't do anything. That's meaningless. But what really gives meaning to your faith is when you live it out so much that other people become a part of this Jesus following community just with you. And I wanted to encourage you guys today. Is your faith meaningless? Are you living you don't really want to follow Jesus? You just like the idea of it. I also wanted to encourage you with this last thing, where he says God is working in you and He helps you want to do what pleases Him, and He gives you the power to do it. He doesn't just leave you there. He doesn't just leave you alone and try to make you figure it out yourself. No, if you want to do what pleases Him, if you don't just like the idea of following Jesus, you want to follow Jesus. You're all in. You want this. He's not just going to leave you. He's going to help you. So I wanted you to pray this with me today. Maybe after you close this story, after you close this message, just lock your phone and pray for just 5 seconds. Here's what it is. God, help me want to do what pleases you. It rhymes, so you'll remember it. God, help me want to do what pleases you. I don't want anything else. I don't want anybody else. I don't want to be anything else. I don't want just the idea of following Jesus. No, I want to do what pleases you, even if that means risking popularity, even if that means risking what other people think of me, even if that means doing something I don't necessarily want to do sometimes. Help me want to do what pleases you.